No restriction. Well, you must be happy with the great job of Krukow and the Cubs defeating the Phillies in the first game 2-0. We'll get to that victory right after we talk about what's going to happen in the National and American League. In the National League, Los Angeles will be at Cincinnati in a twilight night doubleheader. It's going to be John and Roden for the Dodgers against Moscow and Sarmiento for the Reds. And at the present time, Cincinnati trails San Francisco by 3.5 games. Los Angeles by 5. So that's a second place battle between the Dodgers and Cincinnati. San Francisco, in the meantime, will take on the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta for a twilight night doubleheader. And San Francisco will send the Count, Montefusco, and Halecki against the young left-hander Mailer and Devine, a right-hander. San Francisco at Atlanta in a twilight night affair. St. Louis, starting to roll, will be at Montreal. It'll be Forsch with an 8-6 record going against the southpaw Grimsley, who has won 11, but now he has lost 4. New York will be at Pittsburgh. Espinoso, 6-7, and Rooker, the southpaw, will go for Pittsburgh. San Diego at Houston. Shirley on the mound for San Diego with a record of 4-9, and Rodney Richards, 6-9 record for Houston. Houston finds themselves 12.5 games back. San Diego, 11.5 games back. So that's a battle for 4th and 5th place. Atlanta, bringing up the cellar of the Western Division, finds themselves 17 out. Right now, Montreal trails Philadelphia by 4. Pittsburgh trails Philadelphia by 5, 1 game behind Montreal. And New York is 11 out. St. Louis on the bottom of the National League Eastern Division, 13 out. We'll get to the American League right after this message.
Wake up.
Huh? What's it?
You gotta get up.
What time is it?
6:05.
6:05. 6:05? It's Saturday.
You gotta go pick up the airline tickets.
What airline ticket?
For our vacation.
Our vacation is until December.
We have to pick up the tickets before noon today to get the discount. Or maybe it's next week?
Oh, no. Honey, to
today.
get the discount, we have to get our tickets 3 months before we leave, then stay 8 months or more.
Wait, now remember. You get your tickets 127 days in advance.
Marge.
You stay between 18 and 19 consecutive Fridays.
Marge, no.
Yeah.
Continental Airlines has put an end to the discount fares confusion. With Continental's new chicken feed fares, you save up to 40% off regular coach with no restrictions of any kind. The only limitation is the number of seats available. Call your travel agent at Continental. Ask for the chicken feed fare.
Who is it?
It's the airline. We're too late.
Save 40% weekdays, 30% weekends with Continental's chicken feed fares. Call for details. In the American League, the White Sox will be up at Minneapolis taking on the Twins. It'll be Hinton against Jackson. White Sox now 5.5 games out of first place in that Western Division, and they trail Oakland by 2.5 games. Milwaukee will be at Seattle. Travers against Parrott for Seattle. Kansas City at Oakland. Gale against Keogh. Texas at California, and that's quite a battle with California trailing Texas by 1 game. Kansas City trails Texas also by 1 game. So the 4 major teams and the White Sox in that Western Division taking on one another. Cleveland is at Toronto, Weiss against Moore. And the big ball game in the Eastern Division, Boston at Detroit, or at Baltimore, I should say. Keonk with a 7-0 record going against Flanagan, who has won 11 and lost 5. Detroit is at New York. They're going to send the youngster Baker against Gullis. Boston with a 9-game lead over Milwaukee, who's in second place. And right after this message, we'll get to this important game, the victory of the Cubs over Philadelphia. Under automobile undercoating and rust proofing. Here at Wrigley Field, Krukow, with no finer control, in this reporter's opinion, in his pitching career, had great control with every pitch, his curveball and his fastball. He was getting out in front of the Phillies, making them go after his curveball, which was low or outside. What a magnificent job Krukow did in holding these tough Philadelphia Phillies to just 3 hits. Boa got the first hit of Krukow in the 4th inning. Then an infield hit by Lazinski in the 7th inning, when he chopped the ball over the pitcher's head, and Jesus, they can have fine play, did everything he could, but just couldn't throw Lazinski out. And then in the 8th inning, with 2 outs, Sizemore popped a single in front of Kleins, who replaced Kingman in left field. Kingman pulled a right hamstring going after Cardinale's ball in the 8th inning on a short fly ball into left center on a great catch by Kingman. And after catching the ball, taking about 4 or 5 strides, and in my opinion, the grass was wet, and he pulled that right hamstring. We'll get a later report on Dave, I'm quite sure, from the clubhouse. That was all the hits that Philadelphia could muster off of Krukow. In the meantime, Christensen on the mound, and he's a tough hombre, but in the 1st inning, De Jesus led off the game with a tap back to Christensen, and he was thrown out. Gross then sent a fly ball deep to left field to Lazinski. 2 out, and Mercer came to the plate and hit a one-hopper right in front of Sizemore. It took a quick hop, hit him in the glove or on the left shoulder, went out to center field for a base hit, and that brought Dave Kingman to the plate.
Here's the pitch from Kingman. Swings, and there's one that's tagged. There's a baby. That is way out over the left field wall. And the Cubs have taken a 2-0 lead on Dave Kingman. Tremendous shot. His 16th home run of the year.
And a great victory for the Cubs and Krukow. And if the Cubs can win this nightcap, Cubs will come within 1 game of Philadelphia. That's the scoreboard for today. I'm Lou Boudreau. And the scoreboard was brought to you by Continental Airlines. You know there's no lower fare to anywhere they fly than their chicken feed fares, and there are no restrictions. This season, the scoreboard is also brought to you by the 26 Chicagoland Z-Bart dealers. This has been a presentation of WGN Sports. This is WGN Radio, Chicago. First in sound, first in service, first in sports.
You don't have to be a doctor to know that one of the ways to avoid illness is to keep yourself in good health. One great way to keep yourself healthy is to drink enough pure, fresh water every day. And now there's no finer drinking water than Mountain Valley water. Mountain Valley water is 100% pure spring water, entirely free from pollution and chemicals. So it's safe for old and young alike, even babies. And you'll be surprised at just how good tasting it is. For over a century, people have traveled hundreds of miles to Hot Springs, Arkansas to drink Mountain Valley pure spring water. And now you can have it delivered right to your front door. To arrange home delivery, just call Mountain Valley. The number is 569-2820. That number again is 569-2820. You'll like Mountain Valley water. It's good for you. This is WGN Radio Chicago, and now WGN News, brought to you by the Greenhouse Restaurant in nearby Palatine. Good afternoon to Jim Lockman.
Thank you, Mary. Good afternoon, everyone. In New York City, an ice cream truck exploded this afternoon near the Wall Street area of Lower Manhattan. Hospital spokesmen report possibly 100 passers-by were hurt. No immediate reports of any fatalities. The truck went up with an explosive roar that could be heard for blocks. Quoting a fire official, some people were in flames, some of their clothes were torn and shredded. Exactly what caused that explosion is not yet known, and the driver of the truck has not yet been found. There was a 5-minute Chicago City Council meeting today. Humid, highs in the upper 80s, but lower near the lake. Tonight, partly cloudy and warm, some thunderstorms likely. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness, a chance for storms, highs in the upper 80s. Right now, officially 82 at Midway, 80 at O'Hare Field, 76 near the lakefront. Humidity 57%, winds from the south at 10. On the lake, waves up to 2 feet. This is Jim Lockman.
This news was brought to you. Report follows this newscast.
Summer. The sun scorches your car's finish.
The Chicago Cubs are on the air. Welcome once again to Major League Baseball. Yeah, Game 2 of our doubleheader between the Cubs and the Phillies will be getting underway here very shortly. The sun is shining once more, but off in the distance we can see a few more threatening clouds. And a happy turnout at Wrigley Field today. Somewhere up in the 30,000 range. Boy, they were delighted as they saw Mike Krukow shut out the Phillies on a very fine 3-hit performance. It's just super stuff. First start for the Cubs this year. Just got back, of course, from Wichita. And that was just what the doctor needed. Just what he ordered, I should say. Did not have to go to the bullpen. He struck out 3 men, walked only 1, and was never in trouble. While Dave Kingman hit a 2-out, 2-run homer in the first inning off losing pitcher Larry Christensen, and that was the entire scoring story of Game 1. Unfortunately, Kingman had to be taken out of the ball game in the 8th inning. Big guy made a long run on a drive off the bat of Jose Cardinal in the 8th inning. He made the catch, lost his footing on that slick turf out there, and wound up with a strained hamstring muscle in his right thigh. And right over at the scoreboard, or at the press box now, they're posting the lineups. And they have the Philadelphia Philly lineup up there, but they have not yet completed that of the Cubs. Another injury. And that means that Ray Burris, who is warming up down the left field line, is not going to have much of a power attack behind him unless some of the fellows can snap out of it in Game 2. I'm Vince Lloyd, and along with Lou Boudreau, we sure welcome you to our broadcast. Veteran left-hander Steve Carlton warming up for the Phillies down the right field line. And Game 2 of our doubleheader today is brought to us by your Chicagoland Oldsmobile dealers, one of whom is Irwin Wild, is out here today for the 5th straight day. Find out how the gallant men of Olds can make car buying a pleasure for you. General Finance's 70 Chicagoland offices, and you know to borrow up to $10,000, all you have to do is call friendly Bob Adams at Andover 32020. True Value Hardware Stores. And that's not just a name. That's their way of doing business. True Value. And the G. Heilman Brewing Company of La Crosse, Wisconsin. The makers of Old Style. The pure brewed beer from God's country. A lot of folks enjoying it out at the ballpark right now, as usual. Banner hung up by the left field bleachers were Ape over Kingman. They've got the King in the big letters and the small and in the middle, and then Kong in big letters to the right of it. And it's a sad thing to see this big fella have to go out of action with that strained hamstring. The Phillies, of course, have lost Mike Schmidt for about a week or so. He left yesterday's ball game after pulling a hamstring. And the Phillies announced during the first game today that they've had to send Schmidt back to Philadelphia for treatment, and they expect him to be out of the lineup for about a week. And the banner hanging up over the upper deck that the Phillies aren't going to like very well. And, of course, the paint on it has begun to run from the rain that fell here and caused a 13-minute delay in the opener. It says, "Welcome, Pennant Chokers," with a big exclamation point. That's for the Phillies. Go all the way, Cubs. Well, you can't call them chokers. Not as many games as they've been winning the last few years. You don't win them by choking. Our broadcast of Game 2 is authorized under rights granted by the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers for this event. It is solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of the game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. For the Phillies today, in the second game leading off will be Bate McBride against Ray Burris. McBride in right field, and he will be followed by the shortstop Larry Boa. Hitting third will be Gary Maddox, who'll be in center field. Greg Luzinski in the cleanup position. Bo batting fourth and playing in left field. Richie Hebner who played the first game, will be in this one also at third base. Davy Johnson, who had come into yesterday's ball game after Schmidt had to be taken out, hurt his back on a very hard collision at the plate with Larry Cox yesterday, and he's not feeling up to par. So Hebner doing double duty. And Jose Cardinal will be starting game 2 at first base. He also played the first game. Tim McCarver, who always does the catching for Carlton, will be behind the plate in this one. He appeared only as a pinch hitter in the first game. McCarver batting 7th. Bud Harrelson will be replacing Sizemore at second base, former Met. Harrelson hitting 8th, and Steve Carlton with a record of 8-7 on the mound. Now let's see if we can pick up the Cub lineup over there. Rodney Scott is going to be leading off for the Cubs, and he'll be at third base. Steve Ontiveros will not be able to play in this one as long as Carlton or a left-hander is out there, because Ontiveros just cannot swing that bat when he is hitting right-handed. It hurts that left shoulder too much. So Rodney Scott will be leading off in game 2. We'll pick up the rest of that lineup in a moment. I've got to take time out here for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio, Chicago.
I wish they'd use a little deeper chalk over there against that little blackboard in the press box where they give the lineup. Very, very faint when you're looking through about 3 panes of glass. But after Scott, we see Gene Clines, who is going to be playing in left field, replacing Kingman. Bobby Mercer will be in center field, Mercer hitting third. And Manny Trio will be in the cleanup position today. Not exactly your ideal cleanup hitter, but what are you going to do? Herman Franks really doesn't have any choice. There's some kids with a banner in the red, white, and blue. We love you, Cubs, and they did a very artistic job with it. All right, back to the board. Following Trio, Mike Vail, making his first start for the Cubs, and Vail is going to be in right field, hitting in the number 5 position. Larry Bittner, against a left-hander, will be hitting 6th, playing at first base. And Ivan De Jesus at shortstop will be batting 7th. Larry Cox, I'm sure, is going to be doing the catching. Even though he's standing there and blocked out our view. And Ray Burris, the starting pitcher in the second game. Ray going after his 6th one of the year. He picked up his 5th one here a couple of days ago, working in relief for the second time this year. And he is 5-5 for the season. It's the first time that Burris has gone against the Phillies this year. Phoenix Lowry and Bobby Wine, 2 coaches for their respective managers, Herman Franks and Danny Ozark, are huddling at home plate. One of the biggest umpires in the business is going to be working in full dress uniform for this one, even though the temperature has gone up several degrees since the start of the first game. John McSherry, young fellow, 6'2" and about 250 pounds, and he will be calling the balls and strikes. He's got the suit going on. His colleagues, Paul Runge, Bob Bengal, Jerry Dale, are going without the suit coats because of the heat and humidity. They're wearing just the pale blue short sleeve sport shirts. That's the attire of National League umpires. Ray has not been a consistent performer, to say the least, again this year, and he is hoping to get off on the right foot here today in his first appearance against this ball club this season. He has had good success against them in his career with the Cubs, but that really doesn't tell you too much. Mike Krukow, for example, going into the first game, was going against Christensen. Christensen had beaten the Cubs 7 times, lost to them only once. Krukow had not had a victory over the Phillies in his career with the Cubs, and he had lost 4 times to them. So what does he do? Throw a 3-hit shutout. Christensen gave up a 2-run homer in the first inning to Kingman, and that cost him his 7th loss of the year. So what's happened in the past really doesn't mean too much. Ray, for the year, is carrying a hefty earned run average, 4.59. It is his 18th start. He has 3 complete ball games. In his last one, he pitched a very fine game over against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was on the Cup road trip, which was not at all a happy one. June the 21st, he went all the way. but he gave up 2 runs and lost the ball game 2-1. He is a shutout, and he got that one in an abbreviated game between the Cubs and the Cardinals down at St. Louis on a Sunday back in the latter part of May. That game ended because of rain after only 5 innings. He had blanked the Cards on just 2 hits. Now 5-5 for the year. And let's see if he can come near duplicating that brilliant performance by Krukow in the first game. The Cubs are coming out to take their positions on the field. Mike Vail in his first start trotting out to right. Going out to center field, Bobby Mercer. And with the injured Kingman sidelined, Gene Klein's out to left field. Rodney Scott over at third. Another fellow that Cubs had not had in their major league uniform. He played last year for Oakland. He played the Wichita Farm Club this year up until we were in Philly last week, and he's making another start at third. Ron DeJesus at shortstop. Manny Trill at second base, and Larry Bittner over at first. And doing the catching in this second game of the doubleheader, Larry Cox. Jake McBride getting set to lead off. The Phillies, now on the road, have suffered 22 defeats. They have won 11 games away from Philadelphia. And they now lead the Cubs by just 2 games in the National League Eastern Division race. The Cubs' victory gives them a record of 22 wins and 11 losses here at Wrigley Field this year. On the road, they have won 16 and lost 23. There doesn't seem to be any ball club in the National League that can consistently win away from home. Joe McBride stepping in. In the first game, Dick was hitless in 4 trips to the plate. He has 2 homers this year and 15 runs batted in, 3 of them against the Cubs this season. Burris starts the windup. Here's the first pitch. Fastball taken by McBride in too close. Ball 1, and the game is underway. First one was reeled off in only an hour and 45 minutes. Ray in the windup. There's a swing and a miss on a good fastball. That levels the count of McBride at 1-1. He dropped a few points from his .286 batting average starting today's doubleheader. Cox gives a sign. Burris delivers. Misses inside with a fastball at the belt. Ball 2, strike 1. The Phillies now have blanked the opposition 5 times, and they have been shut out 5 times. Neither team accustomed to doubleheaders yet this year. 2-1 delivery. Misses low and inside with a fastball, and he's run the count to 3-1. He'll be trying not to walk him, of course. Ray has worked over 100 innings, 101 2/3. To be exact, here's the windup, the pitch. McBride takes a strike right down the middle, 3-2. Larry Boa, a couple of steps up in front of the on-deck circle on the right side. Looks like he's eager. 3-2 pitch. Boa, or McBride, swings and he fouls it. Got under it a little bit. Turning out to be a beautiful day. We had a 13-minute rain delay in the opener. But now the sun is shining and the breeze has picked up a little bit. Blowing from right to left. Here's the pitch. Fastball, and he's too low. McBride opens up game 2 with a base on ball. And with the speed that he has and Boa has, you're asking for trouble. McBride with 16 stolen bases for the year and been caught only twice. And Boa, 16 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times. He was 1 for 4 in the first game, Boa was. With a home run this year, driven in 16 runs, 4 against the Cubs this season. Rodney Scott coming up on the edge of the grass at third base. And Burris into the stretch. Big lead at first base and a throw over to Bittner over there. Runner back safely. Tony Taylor coaching at first. And Billy DeMars in the coach's box at third. And again McBride lengthens the lead at a throw. He is back in safely. Mercer well into left center field for Boa, who's batting left-handed. Ray in the stretch delivers. There's a swing and a chopper to DeJesus. He has it. Beats Frio. And no chance for a double play. High chopper on that time, but they do get McBride for the first out of the ball game. Boa on with the fielder's choice. That will bring up Gary Maddox, who was hitless in the first game today. Their first three men in this lineup, McBride, Boa, and Maddox, have a total of 52 stolen bases. They have been caught stealing only 7 times. Tells you a little bit about the wheels these guys have. Maddox, a right-handed hitter. First pitch. He takes. Burris misses outside for ball 1. There are a lot of ball clubs, including the Cubs, that will not approach the stolen base total that just these 3 fellows have. Ray turns and he just lobs one over to Bittner at first base. Luzinski in the on-deck circle with a man on at first base. Here's the pitch. And he swings and misses at a curve out of the strike zone, down and away. In the opener, repeat Krukow with a 3-hit shutout. Dave Kingman later had to leave the game because of a pulled hamstring muscle. A 2-run homer in the first inning off losing pitcher Larry Christensen, and that was the story. The Cubs a 2-0 winner. Rain the stretch delivers. There's a swing and a chopper to DeJesus. He has it. Beats Trio. And no chance for a double play. High chopper on that time, but they do get McBride for the first out of the ball game. Boa on with the fielder's choice. That will bring up Gary Maddox, who was hitless in the first game today. Their first 3 men in this lineup, McBride, Boa, and Maddox, have a total of 52 stolen bases. They have been caught stealing only 7 times. Tells you a little bit about the wheels these guys have. Maddox, a right-handed hitter. First pitch. He takes. Burris misses outside for ball 1. There are a lot of ball clubs, including the Cubs, that will not approach the stolen base total that just these 3 fellows have. Ray turns and he just lobs one over to Bittner at first base. Luzinski in the on-deck circle with a man on at first base. Here's the pitch. And he swings and misses at a curve out of the strike zone, down and away. In the opener, repeat Krukow with a 3-hit shutout. Dave Kingman later had to leave the game because of a pulled hamstring muscle. A 2-run homer in the first inning off losing pitcher Larry Christensen, and that was the story. The Cubs a 2-0 winner. Here's a swing and a miss on a good fastball, 1-2. A shutout victory for Mike in his first start of the year for the Cubs. When he came out of relief the other day, just up from Wichita, he walked a man on 4 pitches. Then on second pitch after that, he yielded a 2-run homer. 1-2 delivery. Tries to go to right field. Throws a little foul ball out of play out beyond the Philadelphia bullpen crew. 1-2 in the right-handed hitting Gary Maddox. But a great effort by Krukow. And boy, the Cubs needed that one. 1 away. 1-2 pitch. Goes after a fastball at the letters. Fouls it back again. Still 1-2. Good catch by a customer upstairs, right behind the plate. A couple of double headers that'll be getting underway late this afternoon. 1 out, runner on at first. Maddox with extremely wide stance. Swings, and he got just a bit of that breaking ball down and away. Bearded right-hander is still alive, but the count is 1-2. Luzinski in the first game hit a ball as hard as any of his teammates did. When he drove one deep to center field, it was hauled in by Gross, who was out there. 1-2 delivery. Maddox a swing and a miss. Strike 3. Two gone, and here's the ball. He was 1 for 3 in the opener. starting today. He leads the National League in home runs with 18. 5 less than Jim Rice, the leader in the American League. He has 50 runs batted in, 3 less than George Foster of the Cincinnati Reds, who leads the National League. Swings and he misses at the first pitch. And he was trying to rip one out of here. He was 2 for 4 yesterday, including his 18th homer. 1 for 3 in the first game today. Rays delivered, swung out again. Gets under it, fouls it back out of play, and a strike 2 count on him. It is getting hot and humid. But the skies are clearing. Cubs trying for a sweep. They have now beaten the Phillies 3 out of 4 at Wrigley Field this year. 0-2 pitch. Wasted a little high and tight. Ball 1, strike 2. But at Philadelphia, it's been another story. 2 gone. Runner on at first, top of the first inning. No score. Burris' 1-2 pitch, swung on, and a high pop-up should retire the side. Third baseman Rodney Scott coming over on the grass, and he nonchalants it one-handed. I wish he wouldn't do that. Almost lost that ball. Very colorful, I'll say that. No runs, no hits, a walk. They leave one man on. And the Cubs come to bat against Steve Carlton after a half inning of play. No score.
My aunt, I'd like to bring her in. He just found out McDonald's is giving away family reunions. Aunt Dolly, she's the best. Now through July 16th, every participating McDonald's with the help of United Airlines is giving away a family reunion. You have a new chance every day to win, to have your loved ones flown home to you.
I have a grandmother, and she's 81. It'd be really good to see her.
Get complete details at your participating McDonald's. Win a family reunion. We can win all for you.
Now True Value Hardware stores offer a thermos bottle you'll love to have around because it's so pushy. Hi, Pat Summerall to explain. Ordinary thermos bottles just hold your drinks, but the Aladdin Pump-A-Drink not only keeps 1 quart of your favorite beverage hot or cold, it also dispenses it with just a push from the special pump top. Use it at work, on vacations, picnics, in the car, or around the home. Get the Aladdin Pump-A-Drink for just $8.99 at participating True Value Hardware stores. And don't forget to tell them that Pat Summerall sent you.
For the Cubs, Rodney Scott, who made that one-handed catch, hobbled a little bit, but he held on to it to retire the side. Is going to lead off. He did not play in the first game. Young slick hitter with extraordinary speed. With the Cubs, 7 hits and 22 at-bats. That means he's a .318 hitter at the moment, batting right-handed. Carlton's first pitch, goes after it, fouls it out of play. A fastball up to him. Scott has a pair of doubles in his 7 hits for the Cubs. As a right-hander, he is 2 for 6. All singles. No runs batted in. Wind up in the pitch. Checks, he swings. That one dipped down and in, but he did not check in time. He's out. Carlton's out in front of him, 0-2. Maddox, shallow, straightaway center field. Joe Malfitano and Cookie Rojas in the coach's boxes. 0-2 pitch, swung on, a little fly ball, quick drop. Maddox a long run, can't get to it. He is on, makes a long turn, and wisely holds with a single. On 0-2. He reached down, sent one out into left center field where neither Luzinski nor Maddox could get to it, and Gene Kleins will be the hitter. Gene came on late in the first game when Kingman strained a hamstring and had to leave the ball game. He did not appear at the plate in the first game. Carlton wheels the throw, and boy, that kid was almost picked off. First base umpire, Paul Runge, said he barely got back in time. Gene hitting .285. Didn't have any homers, 9 runs batted in. Get the daylight scared out of him with that one, didn't he, Lou? Boy.
Well, Carlton has a tough move.
Yeah.
When he lifts that right leg, he holds and hesitates just for a minute.
Another throw over there, and that time the kid had no trouble getting back. He's almost like a statue for just a fraction of a second when he kicks that right leg up. Now he comes to the plate, lined half swing and a little soft looper to the second baseman. And lets it hit on the infield dirt to get a forced play at second base. But they're going to rule that he did it intentionally.
No, he caught the ball.
Did he catch it? I thought
He had ideas.
He was going to do it.
He had ideas of doing it to keep Scott off the base pad, which would have been a very smart play. Joe Gordon, in my time, the late Joe Gordon, was the best in doing that. He would trap that ball with the glove on top of that ball and get it before it could get over 3 or 4 inches from the dirt.
Bobby Mercer steps in and he checks his swing on it. It's a ball outside. They really held up in time. But Maury Wills, who beat us out at Los Angeles one time several years ago doing that.
Right. Back on an outfield grab.
Yeah, never have forgiven him. 1-0 pitch. Instead, he wheels the throw to first base. Scott last year, with just about the entire season with the Oakland A's, well, he didn't hit a ton, and he certainly has no power. He's got tremendous speed. And Carlton wheels another throw over there. This time, Scott was back standing.
Don't forget, in Philadelphia, there was a balk called on Carlton.
Here's a stretch to pitch, and he takes a fastball high. There was one called on him here this year, too, Lou. Their first time in. As a matter of fact, Ozark, remember, got so doggone steamed up about it, he got thrown out of the ballgame. Tall left-hander. Comes to the plate, and that move that time sends Scott going back to first base. Pitch with a fastball, low, 2-1. That's how deceiving he can be, but as long as he does it legally, he can get away with it. Bring that right foot up and just kind of hold it there for a second. Now he steps and throws to first base. And Scott back safely. It's almost like Carlton is mad at that little guy for taking such a big lead. Looks at him, he goes. Here's a pitch swung on and a high pop-up. He might have had that base stolen. Second baseman Harrelson out there. The center fielder Maddox comes in and hollers for it, makes the catch. About 15 feet under the outfield grass. They had the hit and run on. And he looked like he had the base stolen. With 2 gone, no score, Manny Trio elevated to the cleanup position. With Kingman sidelined to the pulled hamstring, just as their slugger Mike Schmidt is sidelined with a pulled hamstring. Manny in the first game hit in the number 7 spot. He had 1 hit in 3 at-bats, a single. Yesterday he was 3 for 3. Carlton whips another throw to first base. When your cleanup hitter at this stage of the season has only 2 home runs, you know that your manager, Herman Franks in this case, is really... That's a throw to first. He's back safely. Is really struggling to try to find somebody with some muscle. Total home runs in this starting lineup for the Cubs in this ball game is embarrassing. Maybe they can do it with singles. There's a swing, line drive down the left field line. He's out in front, pulls it foul. Nifty grab by Donnie Moore in the bullpen. Barehanded. 0-1 the count. Well out in front of that one. And Rodney Scott, lean, light guy. Muddied up uniform. Looks like he's already played all of the first game and half of the second one. Muddied up. And he did not even get into the first game. Gets back to first, now takes his lead. Carlton looks, delivers. Swing and a fly ball to the center fielder Maddox going back into his right. He makes it look easy as he hauls it in. And Scott, who led off the first inning with a single, is left stranded. At the end of 1 inning of play, as the Cubs try for a sweep of the twin bill, Phillies come to bat, no score.
The Cavs and the Bulls, we make our fight a
I'll handle this, Carol. It's our first new car, and this salesman is going to come at us like a ton of bricks.
But the sign says we make car buying a pleasure again.
I don't care what the sign says. Hi, can I help you? See, Carol? Patronizing.
We're interested in the Cutlass.
I don't blame you. Pressuring us already.
Can we look around for a while? I'm not sure about color or equipment.
Listen, just take your time. If you have any questions or you want some help, I'll be right here. Now he's ignoring us, Carol.
Jack, that salesman is a pleasure to deal with.
Well, he won't be here when we need him. Watch. Yes, sir? Nice place you have here.
Visit your Chicagoland Oldsmobile dealer today. Find out how we can make car buying a pleasure for you.
The Caravan of Olds. We make car buying a pleasure again. The Caravan of Olds. We make car buying a pleasure again. The Caravan of Olds. We make...
Richie Hebner is going to be leading off for the Phillies. Playing at third base. He was hitless in 2 official trips against Mike Krukow. First start for Mike for the year for the Cubs, and he did a beautiful job. A 3-hitter, all singles for a shutout and a 2-0 victory. Richie steps in, swings, and lets a high fly ball. Gene Klein's moving to his left, waving Mercer away in case Bobby's near, and he makes the catch just high. 1 away on 1 pitch. That brings up Cardinal. He was 0 for 3 in the first game. And some of the crowd here is directing a few boos at the former Cub. I think they read some of the comments that he made, or at least was quoted in the paper this morning. If he read them thoroughly, I think you get the right idea from him. He was not putting anybody down. And he did say he had no bitter feelings towards Herman Franks or Bob Kennedy, but if you just read the first part of the story, you get an entirely different picture. He tries to check his swing on a fastball that's in on him, and it hits his bat and goes foul out of play. He checked his swing on it, but not at time. Pretty good grab over there in the second level of box seats on the first base side. That ball came down abruptly, and the guy was ready for it. 1 out. Ray's next pitch, he takes it high. White Sox at Minnesota tonight. The lead against Seattle last night, 5-0. Couldn't hold on to it. 1-2 delivery. Junior takes it high. 2-2 fastball. But they're only 5.5 out in that American League Western Division. Kansas City and California are only a game out behind Texas. 2-2 pitch. Swung out, a fly ball right field. Coming out hard is Mike Vail. Can he get there? Nope. It drops in front of him for a base hit. And Cardinal is on with his 4th hit in the series, his first one today. In opposite field, little Texas leaguer. Brings up Tim McCarver, who appeared as a pinch hitter, failed to reach in the first game against Krukow. Been about 16 times all year, or 63 times all year with 16 hits. But 6 of those are doubles. The other 10 are singles. Driven in 5 runs. Left-handed hitter, Cardinal, pretty good lead at first base. Burris checks him, turns and tosses one over there. No great move that time. Cubs trailing the Phillies by 2 games in the Eastern Division going into this nightcap of the doubleheader. Here's a stretch to pitch. McCarver swings, base hit through the right side. Cardinal making the turn, and he will stop. Now he goes as Vail drops the ball, picks it up, throws too late. Cut off by De Jesus. That will be a single and an error. He was going to hold up. So Mike Vail, in his haste, just kind of overran the ball. Now, the Phillies have runners at first and third, and switch hitter Bud Harrelson, who had spent his entire career until this year with the New York Mets, stepping in as a left-hander hitting .250. 8 for 32. Choking up at the bat about 4 inches. He likes to slap the ball around. Burris from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Harrelson, a swing and a miss. Needs to strike him out or get a pop-up or perhaps get him to swing into a double play ball. Trio is squeezing him up the middle. De Jesus is not playing him very close to second base. In fact, he's playing him to try to hit that ball to the left side. Twines is shallow, guarding the line and left. Mercer shallow, way over in the left center field. One away. And the pitch. Harrelson takes inside a fastball, 1-1. He's the 8th man in the batting order. The next guy, Carlton, is probably a tougher hitter than he is. One away. 1-1 delivery. Harrelson swings and he misses. There's one more like that. Ball 1, strike 2 the count. Bud said there was no place for him at the Mets this year. He asked to be traded. One of the teams that he consented to go to with the Phillies, and he was happy about it. And they're happy to have a valuable veteran like this. Burris' 1-2 pitch. Low and inside, 2-2 on Harrelson. He gave the Mets some great years. And he knows what it's like to be on a championship team. He'll battle you in a spot like this. 2-2 pitch. It's a ground ball right side. Run coming to the plate to throw to De Jesus. The relay will not be in time. The Philadelphia Phillies take a 1-0 lead. As Harrelson on a 2-2 delivery hit a bouncing ball to Manny Trio. Cardinal streaking up the line from third. They had no shot at him. Trio did it just as everything as well as he possibly could. So did De Jesus. Just couldn't stop him, so they have a 1-0 lead. And before Carlton steps in, let's pause for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio Chicago.
Left-handed hitter. He takes it inside at the knees, ball 1. The error, of course, is really what sets that up. When Bale overran the ball and his haste to get it in quickly. Didn't have to hurry because Cardell was ready to hold at second. He swings and lets a little looper in the shallow left field. Klein's coming on. Gene is there. He makes the chest-high catch, and the side is retired. But the Phillies, after being shut out in the first game, pick up a run here in the second on 2 hits, 1 error. 2 men left on. Cubs come to bat in the bottom of the second inning. Phillies with a 1-0 lead.
I turn off the key, but my car would keep on bucking and coughing.
It kept running 5-10 seconds after I turned it off.
Cars aren't supposed to do that.
I'm a standard dealer. They're talking about run-on or dieseling. You know, often a driver will bring a car in for a tune-up because the engine keeps running after he turns off the key. We'll find it doesn't need a tune-up at all. Because Amoco Premium Lead-Free is made to stop engine run-on. If your car's in tune, but it still runs on, or knocks, or pings when you accelerate, it doesn't need engine work. It needs higher octane fuel like Amoco Premium Lead-Free and the Gold Pump. If it doesn't have performance problems, use the Midwest best-selling lead-free Amoco and the Blue Pump. It's backed by over 65 years' experience in making quality gasolines. Shuts right off now.
I drive out of my way for that Amoco Premium Lead-Free.
No more running on.
See your independent standard dealer for the lead-free choice. You expect more from a leader.
Mike Vail, who committed that error that permitted Cardinal to get to third and eventually score on that little infield ground ball, is going to lead off. He's been at bat 7 times with the Cubs since they got him from Cleveland. There's 2 hits. 1 run batted in. Tall right-hander. He and Bud Harrelson were teammates a couple of years ago with New York. Carlton's first pitch. Fastball. Vail looks. It's a strike. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau here with you at Wrigley Field. Jack Minovich, our producer, and Jimmy Walters, our engineer today. Cubs the winner in the first game, 2-0 on Kruko's 3-hitter and Dave Kingman's 2-run homer off Larry Christensen. Here's the pitch. Went after a fastball low and inside. Wanted to hold up, couldn't do it. 0-2 on him. You can't help out a guy like Carlton on pitches like that or you're in trouble. Wind up, the pitch swung on, and a little fly ball. Maddox coming in, going out is Harrelson. He can't make the catch. Vail makes the turn, and he is on with a perfectly placed Texas leaguer in the very shallow center field, just out of the range of Harrelson and just out of the range of the center fielder, Maddox. Harrelson made it a great effort. Rodney Scott led off the first inning with a single. He never got beyond first base. Now, Larry Bittner stepping in. 0 for 3 in the first game. First pitch, Carlton delivers high with a fastball. He has 3 homers this year, driven in 27 runs. Carlton steps, throws to first base to Cardinal. He almost caught Cardinal by surprise. Mercer, Bittner, DeJesus. Tied for the leadership in homers on this starting club that Herman Franks has put out in the field in this game, each with 3. Another throw by Carlton to first base. Total of 12 home runs by the 9 Cubs starting this game. Flips that leg, delivers, and it's outside. Ball 2. A lot of times you don't need the homers. Singles, walks, errors, perfectly placed Texas leaguers, wild pitches. Looks at first, delivers. Strike called, a fastball away from Larry. Bittner in the series hitless in 7 at-bats. Batting average now hovering just over 270 for the year. 2-1 delivery. Missed outside, ball 3, strike 1. Dennis Lamp is scheduled to go here tomorrow against the Phillies. Dennis Lamp is scheduled to go here tomorrow against the Phillies. A complete performance by Mike Krukow in the opener here today. Vail had to go over to check with Cookie Rojas on the sign. And that's understandable. Cardinal holding him on. Nobody out. Steps and throws to first base. Vail had no trouble getting back well ahead of the throw. They are playing Bittner shallow and to swing late. Looks, here he goes. He swings and a hit and run, fouls it out of play. Ivan DeJesus in the on-deck circle. You can read about Bittner, DeJesus, all of the Cubs. Their biographies, their statistics. Fought more in the 1978 roster book. Look out, he almost threw that one away. Cardinal had to jump over Vail, over his shoulder to snatch that one that almost might have hit Paul Runge, first base umpire. See him duck to get out of the way. 3-2 pitch. Vail goes. Bittner swings, gets under it, fouls it back onto the screen. Still 3-2. The roster book is 8 pages bigger than the one of last year, and you can get it by just sending $1.50 to roster book at Wrigley Field. 60613 here in Chicago. That $1.50 includes 50 cents for postage and handling. 3-2 pitch. Vail doesn't go. There's a double play ball. It's dropped by Harrelson. Picks it up. Throws and the relay. Almost got away from Cardinal. That time, faulty handling by the Phillies. And Bittner is on to the fielder's choice. Oh, that one was tailor-made, wasn't it, Lou?
Yes, it was. Harrelson's first bobble cost Boa the double play because then he had to hurry the throw.
Yeah, and he darn near threw it away. Jose standing with his hands on his hips, talking with his old teammate Bittner, telling him how lucky he is to be on base. Their run stemmed from an error by the Cubs in the top of the second inning when Vail overran Ball that permitted Cardinal to get to third and eventually the score on Harrelson's little grounder. DeJesus takes the first pitch high for ball one. Ivan hitless in the first game today. Swings at a liner, grabbed by the shortstop. Boy, a great catch. Dove to his left, wound up on the infield dirt, made a one-handed grab of that ball that was ticketed for left field. And that, it seems to me, is about the fifth time this year, Lou, that Bo has done that to him.
Yes, he's having a great year, both defensively and offensively. That's one of the most difficult plays for a shortstop. Cross over his body and timing that ball perfectly to make a diving catch.
A little son of a gun. Two gone. Here's Larry Cox. He looks. Carlton misses low with a fastball. Larry, of course, did not play in the first game. His batting average is at .224. A homer and 9 runs batted in. Bends low over the plate. Looks in at the strike called. A good fastball. 1-1. Carlton has been beaten twice by the Cubs this year. But in his career, he has 24 victories over the Cubs with 15 defeats. Throws a curve into the dirt. Look out. Runner at first, Bittner, started to go, thinking the ball would get away from McCarver, and he almost got picked off, but he hastened back just in time. Carlton needs one more victory, and he will have reached quite a milestone in his career. He has 199 career victories. 2-1 pitch. Fastball swung on a high bouncer. Third baseman Hebner has it, throws to second. Bittner is out to retire the side. Well, for a moment, it might bounce over the head of Hebner far enough that he couldn't get to it. On the carpet, it would have. We're playing on natural grass. It ain't that nice. No runs, 1 hit. 1 man left again. At the end of 2, the Phillies come to bat. They lead 1-0.
General Finance, friendly Bob Adams.
Carrie Potterfield here, Bob, for a home repair loan.
That can be easily arranged, Carrie. Some damage at home?
Yeah, our little Binky is getting kind of playful.
What breed is he?
He's an American buffalo, Bob.
A buffalo?
The wife heard they were an endangered species, so we took one in.
You must have a big house.
You bet. 2 bedrooms.
Is there room for all of you, Carrie?
Oh, sure, unless Binky chases a car. He likes to bring him home, Bob.
I see.
And this morning he was sleeping at the foot of our bed when he hears the milkman.
You sleep with a buffalo.
Binky just ran right out to lick his hand, so we need a loan.
I don't follow.
Binky can't open the door, Bob.
Oh, so he just went right through the right. Well, I'll get to work on your home repair loan, Carrie.
Thanks, Bob. Sit, Binky. No, not there.
When you need financial assistance, General Finance has a plan to fit your needs.
It makes sense to call General Finance for their person-to-person Bob Adams service. General Finance has the professional experience and the particular plan for your particular need. There are 70 General Finance Chicago area offices. Call friendly Bob Adams to borrow up to $10,000. Call Andover 32020. Also an office in Joliet.
Ray Burris finishing his warm-up tosses, and he'll be facing the top of the Philadelphia batting order once more. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau, the Cubs needing a sweep here today. Well, they don't really need it, but it sure would be welcome. Won the first game 2-0, but trail in this one. Lou, come on.
Okay, Vince. Here's McBride leading off the third inning. McBride walked to open up this ball game. Phillies lead 1-0. Swinging a tap foul against the leg of the hitter. McBride. Strike 1. That one very painful as McBride's out of the batter's box. Walking around trying to get some feeling in that foot. Cubs play McBride straight away. Mercer in center. Vale in right. Kleins in left. Now we're all set. He levels the bat over the plate. And the pitch is on its way, and there's a swing and a miss. Oh, 0-2 the count on the leadoff hitter of the Phillies here in the third inning. Popped up in the infield. Scott calls for it. Coming in behind the pitching mound. He makes the two-handed catch that time for the out. One out, and here's Larry Boa. Boa doing a great job for these Phillies. He's the backbone, in this reporter's opinion, of this ball club. He gets on base. He shakes them up. He's a good hustler. Here's a swing and a foul out of the net. Boa entered today's work hitting .323. And he's made several fantastic defensive plays around shortstop. He swings and pops the next ball up near the Cubs dugout, but it's out of play. Back in the rows of box seats. 2 strikes on Boa. 1 out, nobody on base. Phillies 1, Cubs nothing. Cubs won the opener 2-0. 0-2 pitch. Outside. Ball 1, strike 2. Maddox due up next. Boa holds that bat still. Now here's the pitch. It's outside. 2-2 the count. White Sox will be at Minnesota tonight. Trying to get off the losing streak onto a victory streak, and Milwaukee will be at Seattle. Here's a swing and a ground ball to Jesus. He has it, charges that ball, and fires the first to get the speedy Boa. 2 quick outs here in the 3rd inning. And now here's Maddox, who struck out his first time at bat. Maddox has been put in the 3rd spot, normally filled by Mike Smith. But Mike back in Philadelphia now with a pulled hamstring, the same injury that happened to Kingman in the first game. Check swing on that curveball that breaks outside. Ball 1. Cubs play Maddox straight away. Right-handed hitter. He swings late on a fastball and drives that ball inside the first base line. Vail over to take the ball, but Maddox is on second base with a double. That's his 15th double of the season, and he leads the Phillies in that department. It comes here with 2 outs in the 3rd inning, and now Lazinski, the hitter. Lazinski popped out to Scott in front of the shortstop to Jesus, his first time at bat. Phillies have 1 run in. They lead 1-0. Maddox very fast with the lead off second base. And here's the first pitch to Greg Lazinski. Fastball missing over the outside of the plate. Ball 1. The Bull levels that bat over the plate. The 1-ball pitch on its way. Curveball, a swing, and a fly ball in the left center. Hit well. Mercer back, calling for it. Now he's coming in. He rubs it for the out. 3rd inning, no runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on base. At the end of 2.5 innings of play, Phillies 1, Cubs nothing.
If you want to cut home cooling costs this summer, cut a hole in your roof and install a Butler Venomatic from True Value Hardware Stores. Hi, Pat Summerall to tell you a Butler Venomatic Power Attic Ventilator reduces attic heat buildup to keep your whole house cooler, so it helps cut air conditioning costs. You can get a gable mount Venomatic attic ventilator or choose the roof mount Butler Venomatic. And if you want to make household help appear out of thin air, True Value Hardware Stores suggest you get a Campbell Hausfeld air compressor. It'll turn thin air into a powerful force to help spray paint, insecticides, and weed killers, inflate tires and toys, clean screens, operate portable air tools, and help with many other household chores. You'll find a selection of multi-purpose Campbell Hausfeld air compressors and accessory kits at participating True Value Hardware Stores and home centers. And remember, True Value, more than just a name, it's our way of doing business. And don't forget to tell them Pat Summerall sent you.
In the 3rd inning, Cubs pitcher, and then Scott, and then Klein. against Steve Carlton. And Vince mentioned that a win today would be the 200th of Carlton's career, making him the 76th pitcher in baseball history to win 200 or more games. He has 2,383 lifetime strikeouts, 17th on the all-time list. Sandy Koufax is 16th with 2,396. First pitch is ball high. Here's a swing and a fly ball to right field. Right fielder McBride is there. 1 out. Now with 1 out, the top of the order for the Cubs. Scott, who dropped a single in the short left center. First time at bat. Steve Carlton, the tall veteran southpaw, is into the windup. Here's the pitch. Fastball. He was going to bunt, but takes the pitch for a strike. Hebner now moves in on the edge of the grass at third. Scott, very fast. The pitch. Swings, line drive, right center. Maddox after him. He moves over into right center and makes a fine running catch. He just outran that baseball as it was sinking very rapidly, but Maddox, robbing Scott of a double and maybe a triple, moves in front of McBride as they scissor, and he made the catch. 2 outs now, and here's Klein's at bat. Klein's popped out to Harrelson in the first inning. First pitch to him is a fastball tapped down to third baseman. Hebner has it. Fires to Cardinal for the out. Easy inning for Carlton. No runs, no hits, nobody left on base for the Cubs. At the end of 3, it's Philadelphia 1, Cubs nothing.
There are a lot of reasons why many people are old-style fans, but Kreuzening would have to be right up there near the top of the list. If you could ask a European brewmaster, he'd tell you that Kreuzening is the traditional old-world way of pure brewing, double brewing. It's the way the great European beers have been brewed for centuries, and it's the only way Heilmann's Old Style has been brewed since Gottlieb Heilmann founded the brewery back in 1853. Now, a beer's ingredients are just as important as how that beer is brewed. And it's here that Old Style really outdoes the competition. You see, in addition to costly rice and choice hops, Old Style is brewed with pure Wisconsin spring water, virgin water that flows from deep beneath the ground. So next time, make it an Old Style. You'll taste the difference Kreuzening makes.
In the 4th inning, Hebner will lead off for the Phillies, then Cardinal and McCarver. Cubs are winning the first one 2-0 behind the excellent pitching of Mike Krukow and the 2-run home run of Dave Kingman. But the Cubs are trailing here in the nightcap 1-0. Now here's Hebner. He flied out to Klein's in short left in the 2nd inning. He swings at the first pitch and misses. It's strike 1. Cubs will be here with single contests tomorrow and Sunday, and then on to St. Louis for 3, New York for 3. Here's a swing and a pop-up in foul territory behind third. Scott is there near the stands. He has room and makes the catch for the out. Hebner pops out to Scott in foul territory. Jose Cardinal singled in the 2nd inning, went to third on McCarver's single and the error by Vail, and then scored on the fielder's choice by Harrelson. That was Harrelson's first RBI of the year. First pitch to Carlton, or not by Carlton, to Cardinal. It's ball one. Looking down and seeing Cardinal hitting .315 going into today's action. And Jose was 0 for 3 in the first game, so he's 1 for 4. Here's a swing and a foul out of play. Drops that batting average down to about 310, 311. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jose levels that bat over the plate, gets set. McCarver in the on-deck circle. McSherry behind the plate. Curved ball inside, and it's ball 2, strike 1. Scott even with a bag at third. The 2-1 pitch. Fastball and a swing and a miss. As Cardinal spins around like a top in that batter's box. Count all evened up now, 2-2. Hines deep in left for Jose. The 2-2 pitch on its way. Fastball popped up, but it's foul as it carries back into the seats. So the count remains ball 2, strike 2. 1 out, nobody on base. 4th inning for the Phillies. Jose is ready. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Cardinal strikes out to the delight of the Cub fans. Jose walking very slowly back to the dugout. And he raises his helmet as he gets close to the dugout, gets a standing ovation from fans behind that dugout. Now with 2 outs, here's McCarver, who singled to right. His first time at bat. He takes the first pitch high, ball 1. Phillies 1, Cubs nothing, 4th inning. Swing and a ground ball. The first baseman, Bittner, has it. Tosses to the pitcher covering first. 3 outs. In the 4th inning, no runs, no hits, nobody left on base. Cubs now come to bat in the 4th inning, needing 1 to tie. It's the Phillies 1, the Cubs nothing.
My aunt, I'd like to bring her in. Aunt Dolly. She's the best. He just found out McDonald's is giving away family reunions. She always has a camera. Every time I see her, she's taking pictures of me. Now through July 16th, each and every participating McDonald's, with the help of United Airlines.
It'd be really good to hear.
Get complete details that you're participating in McDonald's.
We have a special cousin. They're the little girls who they say looks just like me, who I have not seen. That'll be wonderful to see.
Stop by today. Win a family reunion. We do it all for you.
In the 4th inning, the Cubs will send Mercer, Trio, and Vale to the plate. There's a group here from the Berwyn Post Office cheering for a double victory for the Cubs. Right now, the Cubs are trailing 1-0. Mercer steps in the batter's box. See what he can do against Carlson. Carlson has 1 shutout to his credit this year. First pitch to Mercer, outside and low, ball 1. 4th inning. Cubs need some hits, need some runs. They only touched Carlson up for 2 hits thus far. There's a pitch high, ball 2. McCarver and McSherry has had words early in this ball game. They did not see eye to eye on a few pitches thrown. Here's the pitch. There's a strike called over the outside corner. 2-1 on Mercer. Trio due up next. Cub fans talking it up. They'd like to see some action. Carlson is ready. Here's the pitch. Mercer swings, pops it up. Short left center. Boa going back. Boa calling for it. He has it in short left for the out. 2 outs. Manny Trio, the hitter. Trio flied out to Lazinski in left field, his first time at bat. Rayo due up next. Steve Carlson, crafty left-hander on the mound. Here's the first pitch to Trio. Fastball, tap foul, back of the plate. 1 strike to Manny. Manny hitting in that 4th slot in Herman Franks' batting order for this second game. Carlson is ready. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Another fastball, but that one's inside. 1-1 the count. Wind picking up now with a little more steam than normal coming in from right field. Here's a swing and a tap foul into the Cubs dugout. Coming off of Lake Michigan. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Maddox is shading Trio into left center. Lazinski deep in left. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. Fastball, tap foul, back to the Cub bat boy. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio, Chicago, 84 at Midway, 80 on the lakefront.
Carlson's pitch to Trio. Swinging a tap down to third baseman. Hebner charges the ball. Runs it barehanded. Throws to first, but too late. Hebner playing deep with a count of 1-2 on Trio. Had no chance whatsoever to throw Trio out on that swinging bunt down the third base line. That's a base hit for Trio. That's the 3rd of this game off Carlson. And here's Vail. The Cubs could get a long ball from this hitter. It would help right-handed hitter with that long ball with Kingman out of the lineup. The pitch, instead, he throws to first. Trio is back safely. Carlson has had 6 balks called on him this year. Here's the pitch. Curveball for a strike call. Carlson has picked off 6 men this year also. Strike 1 to Vail. Carlson checks Trio. Here's the pitch. Curveball swing and a base hit past the pitcher. Boa makes a one-handed stop at second base and then tosses it backhanded to Harrelson, but Trio beats the play. A great stop by Boa, and as he tossed backhanded to Harrelson, his toss was to third base side of second base, and Harrelson had to dive to make the catch, but was too late. Now Cubs with runners on first and second, 1 out for Bittner. That is the 4th hit off Carlson. Let me tell you, that little ball is coming from Brown. He went back a second to glove that ball. And with better accuracy on his toss to Harrelson, he would have nipped Trio. Now here's Bittner at bat. Runners on first and second. 1 out, and it's getting quite overcast. Carlson is ready. He's set. Here's the pitch. Low into the dirt, taken nicely by McCarver. Ball 1. This actually is the first jam that Carlson has been in. The stretch by Carlton. The pitch. Low into the dirt once again. Caught on a short hop by McCarver. Ball 2, no strike. 2-0 pitch. There's a strike right down the middle. Bittner taking. Now it's ball 2, strike 1. Trio with the lead at second. Vail off first. Phillies lead 1-0. Here's the ball 2, strike 1 pitch. Swinging a ground ball to shortstop. Going to Harrelson. Harrelson to Cardinale, a double play. Bittner hits into an inning-ended double play. 6-4-3. No runs, 2 hits, 1 man left on the base. At the end of 4, it's still Phillies 1, Cubs nothing.
The Galaxy of old, he makes our lives a pleasure again. From the very first moment he greets you, we're gonna do our honest best. The Galaxy of old, understanding is the name of the game. We want to see you lead again and again, so we're gonna teach you right. The Galaxy of old, we make our lives a pleasure again. The Galaxy of old, ask some questions, get a play talking deal. Take your time deciding, we want you to be right at home at Old Grove. The Galaxy of old, we make our lives a pleasure again. The Galaxy of old, we make our lives a pleasure again. The Galaxy.
Listen to your Chicagoland Oldsmobile dealer today. Nice cool day to do it. Ray Burris finishing his warm-up tosses, and he goes up against Bud Harrelson, who brought in a run with his infield grounder in the second inning after Cardinale had singled, got to second on McCarver's single, and got into third when Mike Vail overran McCarver's ball for an error. So Harrelson, with his first run, batted into the year with that one. So their run is not earned. First pitch. Fastball inside. Bud batting left-handed. Vince Lloyd here with you at Wrigley Field. Beautiful cool breeze that's coming straight in from center field. Sidearm fastball is outside. 2-0. Bring you up to date on the Western Open here as time permits. Burris winds. Harrelson takes a strike, letter high fastball. Off to strike 1. Bud 9 hits in only 42 at bats this year. 2-1 delivery to him, swung on, fouls it off out to the left side, hit him on the fist with it. Out at Butler today in the West. Hale Irwin. He misses clubhouse. 305. Irwin is the leader. Yesterday's leader, Cesar Sanudo, was 4 over par today. 2-2 pitch swung on. Little fly ball. Look out, Klein's coming on. Reaches down and he scoops it right off the dirt. Nice catch. Gene Klines has just robbed Harrelson of a little opposite field Texas leaguer. He grabbed that one right off the top of the grass. A beauty. Dave Kingman out of the action. A pulled hamstring when he had to make a long run and a very fine catch on a sinking liner off the bat of Cardinale in the 8th inning of the first game, which Kingman won with his bat, a 2-run homer. Carlton stepping in. Pretty good hitter. Swings and misses for a strike. Fastball to him. Driven in 3 runs this year and has 11 hits. Wind up the pitch. Ball and a little tight. So Sanudo finished 1 under par today. Marty Fleckman is 1 stroke off the pace of Hale Irwin. Fleckman 2 under. There's a swing and a drive into left field, a base hit. Klein's coming over to cut it off. Slips a little bit, but he recovers, gets a throw in. And Carlton with his 12th hit of the year. Solid liner. That is their fourth hit in this ball game. They were limited to only 3 singles in the first game. Mike Krukow went the distance and pitched superbly. With 1 out, the top of the batting order up against Burris, Dake McBride, who walked in the first inning and popped up in the third, stepping in a left-handed hitter. Ray is ready. Tall right-hander fires. Jams him too tight. Ball 1. Right at the belt. It's Wrigley Field now. Temperature is 76 degrees. Latest reading at Midway Airport is 84. Here's the pitch. Swung out a hard liner off the glove of Bittner, but it goes down into right field. Here is Carlton rounding second, and Billy DeMar says, hold up there. Mike Vail scrambled over to the visiting bullpen in foul territory to get that ball in. Bittner just missed grabbing that ball backhanded. McBride really stung it. Just off the glove of the Cubs first baseman. Now they've got runners at first and second with 1 away. Trouble brewing. We're in the 5th inning. Phillies with a 1-0 lead. Hit number 5. Won by Carlton in this inning, and now McBride, after the first man up retired, and he has to face Larry Boa, who's 0 for 2 so far. Has 1 hit in the first game, and this little guy has hit safely in 14 out of his last 15 games. He is trouble in this spot. Gets under the first pitch, and he pops it up. No trouble this time. Manny Trio's there right near the bag. Grabs it at second base. The runners hold. 2 gone on the infield fly rule. Ray and the Cubs are not out of the jam yet. Gary Maddox, after striking out in the first inning, doubled in the third. All right-handed hitter. And Burris is going to have to bear down on him. In the on-deck circle, Greg Luzinski. It's gotten very overcast here. And the wind is blowing in at about 15 miles an hour right now. Coming in from right field at the moment. He takes a strike. Maddox, tall, loose wind, fine speed. Almost covers the batter's box from front to end with that wide stance. Bends just a little bit from the waist. Burris checks Carlton at second, delivers. Swing and a miss. Had a little extra on that one. 0-2. 1 more, and the Cubs will be coming to bat at the bottom of this inning. But he can't let up. Carlton at second base, Dake McBride at first. Gary Maddox in the batter's box. Rays kick the pitch, swung on. Pops one up foul, first base side, and I think the wind is going to push it way back out of play. It does. It's still 0-2. He came up and into him that time. Speaking of the Western Open, we're going to have Chicago Baseball Cancer Charities All-Star Golf outing. The Hutch All-Star Golf Invitational, Monday, July 10th, out at Midlothian Country Club, and there'll be a lot of the Cubs and Sox players, 2 managers, Herman Franks of the Cubs, Bob Lemon of the Cubs, General Manager Bob Kennedy of the Cubs, all going to be there to play and to attend the dinner that night. How would you like to be there, huh? 0-2 pitch. Slaps the ground ball to Bittner. It should retire the side. He tosses to Burris, and he wins the race to the bag to retire the Phillies. And Burris really had to hustle that time. So they threaten but do not score. And if you would like to attend that one, here's the number to call, 664-7676. 664-7676. 2 hits, 2 men left on. The Cubs come to bat. Bottom of the 5th inning. After winning the first game 2-0, the Cubs come to bat in this one, trailing. Philadelphia won, the Cubs nothing. If you have not yet tried the James Smithson cigar, I urge you to do it right away. And it's very simple. All you have to do is dial tobacco. Order the James Smithson cigar, and you get 1 cigar free with every 5 that you order. And if you don't know about the James Smithson cigar, it is certainly time that you find out. This is one that is Available for the first time in over 50 years, and you can only buy it from the tobacco companies of Oak Brook and Old Chicago. It was made exclusively at one time for the man who was the founding father of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. He was a connoisseur of fine cigars, and this is exactly that. It's rich in taste, but let me tell you guys, it is extremely mild, and it's made in the tradition of the old cigar ways. That means it's hand-rolled. The James Smithson cigar, not available anywhere else. If you order today, you get one cigar free with every 5 you order with a money-back satisfaction guarantee. And all you do is dial tobacco. Gene Klein. What am I thinking about? I'm looking at Gene to come up, and he's not going to. We at the bottom third of the batting order, and Carlton's first pitch, a swing and a miss by Ivan de Jesus. Quite often you see de Jesus leading off, then with a left-hander in the mound, you'll see Klein's batting second. But de Jesus in this one is hitting in the 7th spot. Carlton tries to get too much in the fastball, and he misses low inside. 1-1. Boy, the way it's clouding up now, the way this wind is blowing, we may get some more rain. It's very dark. If they had lights, they'd turn them on. 1-1 delivery. Takes a little off, and a ground ball goes to Boa. He's got it. De Jesus is out. Grounder to short. Good change by Carlton. That brings up Larry Cox, who forced Bittner in the second inning to retire the side. Gruco, a 3-hit shutout for the Cubs in the first game, and Dave Kingman, a 2-run homer in the first inning off loser Larry Christensen. So it's been low scoring all day. First pitch. Larry takes a strike inside corner, and he wants John McSherry, the 33-year-old umpire behind the plate, to check that one out. As of June 1st this year, McSherry been in his 8th year in the National League. He started very, very young. There's a strike called. 33 years of age. And in his 8th year in the majors. 0-2 pitch. Carlton wastes the fastball away. Ball 1, strike 2 on Larry. Boy, what a shot he took yesterday, Cox did at the plate. Fastball high and tight to him. 2-2. But he prevented a run from scoring. Of course, as it turned out, didn't make any difference. The Phillies won it. Carlton working quickly. There's a pitch swung on and fouled out of play. With a threat of rain, the Phillies want to be sure they get this one in officially. There's one out in the bottom of the 5th inning. Count of 2-2. Phillies leading 1-0. He looks, and a tie, ball 3. Boy, here's a surprise. Just mentioned Bob Lemon a minute ago. He has been fired by Bill Beck. There's a swing and a foul ball down the left field line. Bob Lemon has just been fired as the manager of the White Sox. And Larry Doby, who was the first black to play in the American League, has been one of the coaches for the White Sox. Larry Doby is named as the new manager for the White Sox. No wonder Bill Beck made that trip out to Seattle so unexpectedly last night and saw them lose. There is a strike call. Larry Cox becomes the first strikeout victim of Steve Carlton today. 2 gone. That is really something. They lost their lead last night to Seattle. They had them 5-0. Burris steps in, Sox that is, and they wound up losing it 9-7 to the Mariners, splitting that 4-game series. 0-1 pitch. Fastball in too close. Ball 1, strike 1. I guess you shouldn't be too surprised, really. They had a great season last year, but this is a new season. Burris fouls that one back out of play. And you think back to some of the statements attributed to Bill Beck when he was questioned about Bob Lemon's status. He never came right out flat and said, hey, he's doing a super job, nothing wrong with his managing, that's not the fault. He never did say that. Check swing by Burris, and they win the appeal. They say he went around. And Carlton really smoking them here in this fifth inning. This game is now official. He wasted no time. Bottom third of the batting order, handled easily. 2 strikeouts. Bob Lemon fired as manager, and Larry Doby named as the new coach of the Chicago White Sox, or manager of the White Sox. End of 5 innings of play here at Wrigley Field. Getting very, very dark. And the Philadelphia Phillies carry a 1-0 lead.
Hello, General Finance. Friendly Bob Adams speaking.
It's Steve Doorman here, Bob. You loaned me some money to get married 6 months ago.
Right, Steve. How are things working out for the newlyweds?
Just great, Bob.
Something the matter, Steve?
Well, I came home early one day last week. I caught her.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Steve.
There they were, all there, under the bed.
I'm not...
Now going to be a scout for the White Sox on the West Coast. Beck emphasized that the change was mutually agreed upon by him and by Lemon. Doby will be in charge tonight at Minnesota against the Twins. Bobby Knopp will stay on as their third base coach, and pitching coach Stan Williams is leaving the team. 1-1 delivery into the dirt in front of the plate. Ball 2, strike 1. May start raining here at any time. It has sure gotten dark. The Sox announced no further changes at this time. Wonder who their pitching coach will be. 2-1 delivery. Hebner has to take it inside above the knees. That was a fastball. 6th inning. Philadelphia leading 1-0. Cubs won the opener 2-0. 1 out. Nobody on base for Hebner. A left-handed batter. Burris is pitched to him. Swung on. Fouled. Back up out of play. Larry Doby inherits a ball club that is 6 games under the 500 mark for the year. 34-40, and 5.5 games off the pace of the Western Division leading Texas Rangers. Lost to Oakland last night in 10 innings, 8-7. Oakland A's just won't leave. 3-2 pitch swung on, and there's a base hit into center field. Hebner's first hit of the afternoon. He was shut out by Krukow in the first game. Thought that pitch might have been up just a little bit. Hebner, pretty good hitter. That brings up Cardinal. He has scored the only run of this game. He singled with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Went to second on McCarver's base hit. And when Mike Vail overran the ball, Jose, who had held up at second, then went to third unmolested, and he was able to score on an infield out. He struck out in the 4th inning. Ray's first pitch. Swung on a miss. Whoa, what a cut he took that time on a fastball. Let her high. Almost lost his red batting helmet. Vince Lloyd here with you at Wrigley Field. Jimmy Walters, our engineer today, and Jack Minovich, our producer. Cubs and the Phillies have really had a battle. Pitchers duels today. At least here to the 6th inning. 0-1 delivery. Throws his bat in the hit and run. The throw to second. Creel puts the tag on. He is out at second base. And Jose really threw his bat at that one. It wound up between the mound and first base, and it was almost a pitch out. So Hebner is caught stealing. Creel taking the rather high throw, and all Manny had to do is put the glove down in front of the bag and let Hebner slide into it. Bases are empty. 2 gone. 0 and 2 on Jose. Now from the windup. Rising fastball taken high. Ball 1, strike 2. Ian McCarver in the on-deck circle. Let's hope he'll lead off the 7th inning for him. Ray peers through the semi-darkness, gets his sign. Here's the right-hander's 1-2 pitch. And that's way low and in and outside. 2-2. Willie Hernandez and Donnie Moore getting a little exercise in the Cubs bullpen. There's a swing and a snap on foul right near the plate, and his bat went flying all the way to DeJesus at shortstop. Dave Geisel, not Hernandez, throwing in the bullpen, I'm sorry. Jesus picks it up, hands it to third base coach Billy DeMars. And Burris, as Cardinal comes out near the mound, says, "Can't you hold on to that bat, little fella?" Now we're going to start getting some rain, I think. We had a 13-minute rain delay in the first game, which was reeled off in only an hour and 45 minutes. Umbrellas being broken out again, and some rain gear. 2-2 pitch. Goes after a fastball, fouls it back out of play. Been handed a note here from the Cubs front office that the revised edition of the roster book has just arrived by truck. And for those of you who already ordered them by mail, you will start getting the new revised roster book in just a couple of days. The regular edition. 2-2 pitch. Jose slaps another foul ball back up on the net. This is the brand new one. It contains all of the new Cubs biographies. You get one, send a check or a money order for $1.50 made out to Chicago Cubs to the roster book at Wrigley Field, Chicago 60613. Boy, it is now beginning to rain hard. This is an official ball game. 1-0 Philadelphia. And look at the exodus of fans from the box seats. There's a swing and a little fly ball. Could be trouble. Klein's coming on. He is there, and he makes the catch. Cardinal and the Phillies are retired in the 6th inning. Rain, go away. We need some at-bats. No runs or hits, nobody left on. The Cubs come to bat at Wrigley Field. Bottom of the 6th inning, it's going to be the top of the batting order up. But there's going to be a delay because the groundskeeping crew is wheeling out that big tarp. The score at the end of 5.5 in Game 2. Philadelphia 1 and the Cubs nothing. Now, we are going to have a delay in this ball game because that wind, which picked up just about 15 or 20 minutes ago and blew in a new cloud cover, also is bringing us the rain. Coming right into our booth. A few Hardee's fans who came out with umbrellas, raincoats, or plasticware of some kind or another are still sitting down in the boxes, but doggone few of them. Most of them are trying to get jammed up into the grandstand section where they can get some protection from the upper deck, but there's not room enough for everybody there. And those in the upper deck and the lower boxes upstairs, they're going to get rained on if they didn't bring the rain gear with them. Or they're heading up for some protection up above. A lot of them gather up under the big scoreboard in the center field bleachers, but a lot of the bleacher fans really don't care whether they get rained on or not. They're accustomed to all kinds of weather. All they want to do is be here for a ball game. Now they're going to give us the attendance. Paid attendance, 29,525. 29,525, the paid attendance just announced here by Jimmy Davidovich. And the total in the house today with all of the freebies, 29,939. So the Cubs, with the crowd here, virtually 30,000 for the day, have gone over the 600,000 mark for the year by plenty. That's 618,000. I've got to take a moment here for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio Chicago, 4 o'clock.
Vince Lloyd here with you at Wrigley Field. The rain is coming down fairly hard right now, slackening just a little bit. It looks like another one of those typical showers that you get at this time of the year, where it may come in for 15 or 20 minutes and then blow over again, but then, of course, you never really know. As a matter of fact, you talk to some of the weathermen and they'll tell you the same thing. How can you tell? I want to repeat it for those of you who may have missed it. After I repeat the score of the first game, in which Mike Krukow pitched a brilliant 3-hit shutout and his first start for the Cubs in the 78 season. And, of course, he just was brought up a few days ago from Wichita. But he was a determined, hard-throwing right-hander, and let me tell you, he did a super job. Dave Kingman hit the 2-run homer in the first inning off Larry Christensen. It was a pitcher's battle the rest of the way, but that first inning decided it. And then we're sorry to say that the Cubs lost the services of Dave Kingman. We hope for not very long when Dave, in a tremendous effort in catching a sinking liner off the bat of Jose Cardinal in the 8th inning, with that outfield grass a little bit slick, lost his footing just a bit, and he wound up pulling a hamstring in his right leg. And he had to be helped off the field. Well, as a matter of fact, he wasn't helped, but he left limping, and he is not able to play in this one. And heaven knows whether or not he'll be able to be available for tomorrow or the next day. But what I started to say is, for those of you who may have just joined us in the last few minutes, the White Sox announced that they are parting ways insofar as managing is concerned with Bob Lemon. He is being replaced by Coach Larry Doby, who was the first black player to come into the American League back in the 50s. He has been a coach with the White Sox and has done a fine job, and we wish him and the White Sox the best of luck. Bill Beck and the White Sox say that the change was mutually agreed upon by them and by Bob Lemon. And Lemon will stay with the White Sox, but he'll be a stop for them out on the West Coast. And when the White Sox open up against the Minnesota Twins tonight up at Bloomington, Larry Doby will be their new manager. Their third base coach will be Bobby Knopp, who stays on. But they're probably going to have to go out and get themselves a new pitching coach because Stan Williams is leaving the team. There had been some hints written about Stan Williams in handling the duties of pitching coach. A couple of remarks made by some pitchers that made you wonder a little bit about it, but then when things are not going right, there are always going to be a lot of remarks made by some players, either about their manager, the front office, or something, because they're good competitors for the most part, and when things aren't going quite right, they're apt to sound off a little bit, and they did just a couple of days ago, and the remarks were directed towards Stan Williams. Well, he is going to be gone as the pitching coach. But they do not say in the announcement today who will be the new pitching coach, and they also say that there are no further changes at this time. But he takes over. Doby does. And he is the second black manager in the American League. Frank Robinson, of course, was the first one, and he's now back in the minors in the Baltimore organization at Rochester. And Doby will take over a ball club that is 5.5 games off the pace of the Texas Rangers. But in between the Sox in Texas are Kansas City and California, both of whom are 1 game out. And the Oakland A's, still surprising the daylights out of everybody, hanging tough. They're only 3 games behind. The only race at all where there's a lot of daylight between the front runner and the rest of them are in the American League Eastern Division with the Boston Red Sox, who handed the Orioles their 8th straight loss last night 4-3, have a 9-game lead over Milwaukee, with the New York Yankees a game behind the Brewers, then Baltimore 12.5 out, Detroit, Cleveland, Toronto following up. California defeated Kansas City last night to pull to within or stay within a game and stop Kansas City just a game off the pace rather than in a virtual tie. And they're having some electrical problems up here, at least in our booth, because the lights, which have been flickering on and off several times, have just done it again. And while we have this delay out here in this second game, which is an official ball game, we're hopeful, of course, that they're going to be able to resume play before very long. The Phillies have a 1-0 lead on an unearned run. They have a total of 6 hits off Ray Burris. The Cubs have only 4 hits off Steve Carlton. And the first game, I'll repeat, went to the Cubs on Dave Kingman's home run in the first inning with Mercer aboard and Mike Kruko's 3-hitter. The Cubs won that first game 2-0. Here it's 1-0. And we'll keep you posted time to time, but right now we're going to take a little bit of a break.
Comment on the Lemon and Doby.
We're going to come right back, Lou. We're going to come right back. And we'll hear your comments gladly. We're going to be back right after these messages.
When you brew a beer in God's country, you begin with sparkling, pure Wisconsin spring water. water that flows deep beneath the ground. Then you pure brew, double brew it in a traditional old world way called poisoning. Poisoning is the most natural way to brew beer and the most expensive. Most expensive because it takes more time. But Heileman's Old Style is one American premium beer that is still fully poisoned, naturally carbonated. Because at Old Style, we don't aim to make the most beer, only the best. Taste the difference poisoning makes. Try Old Style, pure brewed in God's country. G. Heileman Brewing Company, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
And Mom always says, well, when are you coming out for a visit? Can you come home this time?
If my grandmother could see those kids. They just found out. McDonald's is giving away family reunion.
Oh, I'd love to see your brother again.
And my grandchildren. It'd be great if they would come in. Now through July 16th, each and every participating McDonald's, with the help of United Airlines, is giving away a family reunion. What about that aunt of yours from Peoria?
She's got a 75th birthday coming up.
You have a new chance every day to win, to have United Airlines arrange to fly your loved ones home to you. I'd love to see them come in. If you're 18 years or older, you can register as often as you like. No purchase necessary. All you have to do is just sign up, right? Get complete details at your participating McDonald's.
We haven't seen each other for so long, but that would be fantastic.
I got 7 brothers and sisters. I'd get a chance to go visit them, but it would be really something if I could bring them all out here. I mean,
Stop by today.
At McDonald's,
Win a family reunion.
we do it all for you.
Back at Wrigley Field, and the rain is still coming down, not as hard as it did right at the outset of this rain delay. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau with you, and we did talk about the Bob Lemon change, and as the White Sox announced it, they said it was mutually agreed upon. And Lou, you wanted to make a comment on it? Go ahead.
Well, I merely want to state that Toby joined me in Comiskey Park in Chicago as the first black baseball player in the American League. Lemon was, of course, on that ball club. They were teammates for a number of years, and both of them helped the entire organization to a championship under Bill Beck in 1948. So they do know one another, and Doby has been a coach with Montreal and also a coach with the White Sox. He's very knowledgeable. I think that the mutual feeling between those two ball players have been great. I just happened to be fortunate to be with Larry Doby on a sports challenge show on the 22nd of May in California. It was an open date for the Cubs, and WGN gave me permission to leave. And Doby had kind words to say about Bob Lemon and just made comments about the ball club that Lemon was at no fault whatsoever. They just could not get their pitching and hitting together, which has happened in every organization. When they would hit, they would get no pitching, and they would get beat 10-9 or 9-8 or 8-7. When they were getting good pitching, then they were getting beat 2-1 or 3-2, and there was nothing that Lem could do about it in Doby's estimation. He held the highest esteem of Lemon, and I'm quite sure that the feeling is mutual between Lemon and Doby. And Doby becomes, as you mentioned, the second black manager, with Robinson being number 1 with Cleveland. But Doby is very knowledgeable, and I think that perhaps a change was needed as Beck was with the ball club and realized this, and knowing that the Sox are not out of it as yet. They're only 5.5 games out. So a reversal of form, and sometimes a change of manager, a change of system, a change of ideas will help a ball club. And if it does, and if they hire another pitching coach to get a little confidence, more confidence with their pitching, you might see a turnabout of the White Sox. And I just merely wanted to wish Doby a lot of luck. And I'm certainly glad that Beck saw fit, as well as Lemon, to stay with the Chicago White Sox.
There was one thing there that surprised me in this. Now, they say that Stan Williams is gone as the pitching coach, and then they follow it up by saying no other changes are planned. Who's going to be their pitching coach?
Well, I think that would be up to Larry Doby. to get together with Beck and name a pitching coach.
It seems a strange statement to add on there, though, that after you say your pitching coach is gone, no other changes are planned.
Well, I interpret that as that other coaches will stay. If there's no other changes, that's it. Now they're going to go out and hire a new pitching coach.
I would hope they would. And I think you probably saw the same story that I did a day or two ago, in which there were some digs taken at Stan Williams. Stories in the local papers by one or two disgruntled pitchers on the ball club who said that, I'm trying to recall the comment that I read, I think it was yesterday, where bases had become loaded and Stan Williams had run out there in the mound, and the pitcher thought, well, he's coming out there to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And he said, can you help me? He said, yeah, I'm going to help you. I'm going to tell you that Bob Lemon is mad at you.
Well, I have to fault Lemon insofar as that. He should have called a meeting or got his pitchers together and said, this man was chosen by me. He's my pitching coach. You do as he says. Follow him, or you're through, or you will not pitch for me. I think Lemon should have taken charge right then and there and put the pitchers in their own spots if they do not follow Stan's recommendations. They can be angry at Stan. They can do a lot of things at Stan, but still, they have to know that Stan was Lemon's choice. And Lemon is at fault for not firing Stan if he thought that he wasn't doing a good job, or backing him. I think a manager has to back his coaches, and vice versa.
And whether or not that little quotation was an accurate one or not about Stan saying something like that in that kind of a situation, I'm not going to buy it 100% because I know some players have a pretty good imagination, and some writers also are pretty imaginative when it comes to putting down so-called quotes from players or anybody else for that matter. But there was obviously something underneath the surface, or this story never would have gotten into print just a couple of days ago. Something was haywire insofar as Stan Williams and the pitching staff of the White Sox are concerned. But I do hope that they get it straightened out. Larry Doby was an awfully fine ball player. Remember a couple of years ago we were talking with him, Lou, up in Montreal when he was coaching for Gene Mott, and he made it clear that he would like a chance to manage in the major leagues. And I'm not sure. I don't remember whether Larry has been managing in the minors or not.
No, I don't believe Larry has any manager's experience at all in the minors. Most ball players do have the aspirations of being a manager, would like to, at the close of their career, make an attempt to be a manager. For example, Randy Hundley. It's very nice, and there are few of us that are very fortunate that have the experience of managing in the majors before getting our feet wet in the minors. So this is what's happening to Randy right now. It's happened to practically most, I should say not all, but practically most of our coaches who've had a little touch of managing in the minor leagues.
Yeah. All right, the rain continues to fall at Wrigley Field. And for those of you who have just joined us, the Cubs won the first game today, 2-0. Dave Kingman a 2-run homer. And Mike Krukow, a brilliant route-going performance, a 3-hit shutout. But in the second game, an unearned run by the Phillies in the top of the second inning, and that's been the scoring of this ball game. Rain has held it up with the Cubs due to come to bat in the bottom of the sixth inning. It is an official ball game. And the Phillies have a 1-0 lead. And unless this rain stops, we're able to resume play. It would wind up a split for the day. So let's hope the Cubs will get a chance to bat here in the bottom of the sixth. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau, we're going to be back out here and keep you posted on what's happening from time to time. But right now, we return you to our studios.
The Galleys and the Hoes, we make our buying a pleasure again.
Honey, I'm home.
home.
Flowers? For me? What's the occasion?
Sorry you got stuck taking the Cutlass in for the 6,000-mile check.
Oh, no problem.
I know how rough service departments can be.
Not at our Chicagoland Oldsmobile dealer.
Rude and discourteous.
Those guys were great. The gallant men.
Probably kept you waiting for hours.
I just dropped off the Olds and went shopping. It was a snap.
They never listen to what you say.
And when I got back from the dress sale,
And they tack on extra charges.
our Cutlass was ready to roll. No extra charges.
Really?
By the way, how do you like my new dress? $100 marked down from $250.
New dress?
The caravan of old. We make car buying a pleasure again. The caravan of old. We make car buying a pleasure again. The caravan of old.
If you want to cut home cooling costs this summer, cut a hole in your roof and install a Butler Venomatic from True Value Hardware Stores. Hi, Pat Summerall to tell you a Butler Venomatic Power Attic Ventilator reduces attic heat buildup to keep your whole house cooler, so it helps cut air conditioning costs. You can get a gable mount Venomatic attic ventilator or choose the roof mount Butler Venomatic. And if you want to make household help appear out of thin air, True Value Hardware Stores suggest you get a Campbell Hausfeld air compressor. It'll turn thin air into a powerful force to help spray paint, insecticides, and weed killers, inflate tires and toys, clean screens, operate portable air tools, and help with many other household chores. You'll find a selection of multi-purpose Campbell Hausfeld air compressors and accessory kits at participating True Value Hardware Stores and home centers. And remember, True Value, more than just a name, it's our way of doing business. And don't forget to tell them Pat Summerall sent you.
Well, we're in a bit of a rain delay at Wrigley Field in the game between the Cubs and the Phillies. Cubs won the opener out there 2-0 behind Krukow on a Kingman home run. And the Phillies are leading 1-0 in the second game, sixth inning action, when the rains came. So we'll see if we can get back out there to Vincent Lou to finish that ball game. In the meantime, we're going to have some music, and right now a lot of you are probably trying to get from one point to another in the Chicagoland area. So let's check in with Jim Cavanaugh and see what the traffic situation is like with the rain.
Thank you, Len. Right now, if you're on the Tri-State Tollway, you're going to be in for a lot of delays. Here's the picture so far. If you're heading northbound on the Tri-State, we now have a 2.5-mile backup at the Waukegan Toll Plaza. Northbound at the Bensonville Bridge is now backed up for 7 miles. If you're heading southbound on the Tri-State at the Mile-Long Bridge, we have a 4-mile backup, and as you get through that mess and get out towards the Kingery or I-80, you're going to run into another 4-mile backup. So the Tri-State is heavily concentrated, crawling, stop-and-go driving this evening in all directions. The O'Hare Police Detail report that traffic is moving steadily in and outbound at O'Hare, but the building area there, the terminal building area, is becoming heavy. I would allow 30 to 40 minutes extra time if you're going out to O'Hare. Right now we have heavy water reported in the northbound left-hand lane of the Dan Ryan at Canalport. 2 lanes are open to traffic now in the Northwest Toll between Elgin and Rockford for the July 4th weekend. They will be closed again in the evening of July 4th. Right now, the Kennedy inbound is backed up all the way from the Eisenhower to Kedzie Avenue. The Eisenhower westbound is jammed from Costner to Des Plaines Avenue. The Stevenson, very heavy and slow now from Hoyne to Central. And the Dan Ryan heading southbound in the express lanes are tightening up at 55th, and the locals are slowing at 45th. This is Officer Jim Cavanaugh of the Chicago Police Department in WGN Traffic Central.
Thank you, Jim. That's the traffic situation right now on this Friday afternoon in Chicago. It's after 4 in Chicago, a rain delay at Wrigley Field, and let's join Ed Cooper now and get the latest word from the stock market.
Well, it might as well have rained to continue to talk some baseball, not only about the Cubs, but certainly about the White Sox, who, as I'm sure you are aware if you have been listening to the doubleheader, the White Sox have fired their manager, Bob Lemon, have replaced Bob with Larry Doby, who is a very knowledgeable man and has been a coach for Bob Lemon and Bill Veeck this year. And Lemon, of course, a teammate with Doby back on the old Cleveland ball clubs when Lou Boudreau was managing and Bill Veeck was the owner. So Larry Doby now becomes the manager of the White Sox, and it has just been made known that Bruce Del Canton will be the pitching coach. Stan Williams was also relieved of his duties. And when Vincent Lou left you a few minutes ago, there had not been any word at that point as to who the pitching coach might be. I understand that Lou has just relayed, or Vince has just relayed the word from Wrigley Field that they just heard. It will be Bruce Del Campton. So maybe you have some feelings about that. Maybe you have some thoughts about the Cubs. A tremendous 3-hit shutout by Mike Krukow today. The Cubs trailing in the second game.
Brings you the Chicago White Sox warm-up show.